It is a season of giving and a season of heroes as well. So we're going to talk about unsung heroes. Weeksy, Johnny, Keith with you. Let's start off with some forwards. Let's see who has been an unsung hero. Weeksy, Brock Boeser, someone that caught your eye.
Yeah, because Brock Boeser, he's healthy, he's right, he's in a good space mentally, he's healed, and he's back shooting and scoring. And quite frankly, I think the way their team is playing under Rick Tocchet and whatever conversations Rick Tocchet had with him are bearing fruit for the Canucks. He's been awesome.
I think just on a human level, everyone knows his story and his dad's passing and his illness and him struggling with all of that. And I think we're all happy to see Brock in a good place mentally.
Yes.
And physically as well. He's fought some physical ailments, but we knew he could score. Maybe not quite this well, but we knew he could score. But it's great to see him just in a good place, physically, emotionally, and playing that well. Me, I got Sam Reinhart.
There you go.
Because the Florida Panthers, honestly, are one of the best teams in the NHL. They are a nightmare to play against. The guy who's got the most goals on that team, Sam Reinhart. And you talk about Barkov all the time and Matthew Tkachuk, as you should, but he goes along, plays with good players, plays on the power play, plays on the penalty kill now. He's second in their team amongst forwards in minutes behind only Barkov. He does everything, and I don't think anyone would have thought Sam Reinhart 6 years ago would be an all-around, effective, 200-foot, all-situational player. Like, yeah, he might get 30 goals and 70 points, but there'll be holes in his game. He does it all right now. And good timing, talking about good gifts, because he's a pending UFA, so Santa may be coming to him at some point in the new year.
The defense, Weeksy.
For me, Jake Wallman. Yeah. Jake Wallman, Toronto native. I really like Jake Wallman's game, and I feel like they're one of the underrated pairs with him and Mo Seider. And everybody will speak about Mo Seider, and understandably so, as a rising young star defenseman. But the things Jake Wallman can do offensively as well, and he's steady on the back end. He's really a 200-foot defenseman on both sides of it. He was a really nice find by the wings, Johnny.
He was. He's not afraid to play tight gaps. And I think when you watch Detroit play with Wallman and Seider is such a physical player that he's always playing like that. And Wallman likes to dance when he scores goals, too.
I love
it. I can appreciate it.
Me too.
Toronto guy, we don't appreciate that. But he's very comfortable being tight up on the checkers, which is not all defensemen are.
Morgan Rielly for you?
Morgan Rielly, we had talked about William Nylander so much in Toronto and Matthews and Marner and everything else. Morgan Rielly might be the MVP so far of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've had all kinds of injuries in the back end, and Morgan Rielly is healthy after that last year's knee surgery. He's got the #1 power play unit clicking along, top 5, top 7 in the league, playing 25-plus minutes a night, the most of his entire career. He's not 22 anymore. He's, upwards of 30 years old now. He has been instrumental in Toronto finding ways to get points, even though they're not playing that well. He's been lights out good for the Leafs so far this year.
We'll peel back the curtain. So we brought up goalies, and Weeksy was like, well, here's this guy and this guy. Came up with a list of 27, okay? So who and land on?
It's Cam Talbot.
Okay.
And what he's doing, and he's such a specimen too, by the way, but what he's doing at his age and the way he's performing, listen, LA does a really good job of insulating as well, but the saves he needs to make, he's made them, and some of the spectacular ones. And a lot of people wrote him off, and they've pretty much done that the majority of his career for the most part. And Cam Talbot's rejuvenated. He's healthy, which is very important. And he's been awesome out there in LA, Johnny. He's been great for them.
You talk to him, and he talks about he was hurt 3 different times last year with Ottawa, which it's hard to get into a rhythm. And I think a lot of people question, I was one of them, like, LA's such a good team. Talbot, Copley, is that good enough to take them to where they want to go? So far, so good. And you're right, the idea that coming out of Alabama, Huntsville,
it's unreal. It's
been not an easy path where he's sort of had to prove himself. And I think that he headed to LA with a chip on his shoulder. A lot of people saying, yeah, you're not good enough to play for a good team like that. He's answering those questions, no problem. As has my guy.
Who's that?
Charlie Lindgren.
You remember I told you he's nice. He's legit. He's legit.
I don't.
Montreal slept on.
I know.
Take it away. I can't anymore.
The Caps are shockingly successful this year.
Yes.
And they're doing it with a power play that cannot score.
Yes.
And star players that have unfortunately retired or we can only get empty netters, like, they're not doing it by running and gunning. They're doing it by defense and by goaltending. We know what Kemper can do, but Lindgren has stepped in and played his 7-8 games and has been really, really good. Look at those numbers for a backup. Are you kidding me? I know he catches the wrong way, but I still gonna give it to him. He's been so successful. And he's grinded along, trying to find a home. And he's bounced around with different organizations that could use a goaltender exactly like he is. Didn't land until Washington. He's really rolling now. He's been very impressive.
I agree. And I think you have to credit the St. Louis Blues, though, in the midst of that.
It all started.
Because they had him there, right, for that little 5-game stretch. He played exceptionally well there. that kind of cemented the fact in the eyes of other people that, hey, this guy could play in the league.
Right.
He got this contract. Props to him. He's been very good.
And Charlie was on your list of 27. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Good job, Johnny.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I don't know how people would have Lindgren second in the league.
On that team?
That's nuts.
On the Caps. Now, maybe fewer people would have Quick on it. They're from the Rangers.
Which is, again, unreal.
Yeah, but Lindgren has been fantastic so far this year.
Yeah. What didn't you think would belong? There you go. Rookies. Let's dive into them. Luke Hughes for you.
Yeah, we spoke about him earlier. I'm a big fan of Luke Hughes because it's very difficult to be a young offensive defenseman, let alone the weight of having your two brothers that are superstars in the league.
Right.
And two of the best players in the world. So to kind of get in there and establish yourself in your own game, there's a lot there. Those are big shadows that are cast, and you wouldn't know it. He plays with confidence. There's a conviction in his skill set, as there should be. And to me, he's only going to continue to get better and better with time. And Johnny, I love your point. He's growing into his bodies.
Yeah, and I think just that. He's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Like, he's just scratching the surface. The same way Quinn.
Yes.
Was good.
Yeah.
Took a couple years to become great. And Luke Hughes, look what he did in college at Michigan, was just absolutely incredible. He's going to be a superstar. And one thing about that family, and any normal family, like, how am I going to live up to? I got a first overall brother. I got another brother who's leading the league in scoring. Like, how do I live up to that? It feels like they actually really support each other.
Yes,
they don't,
legitimately.
They don't have that kind of dynamic. It's all are pulling for each other, all are supporting each other, all help each other become better, as opposed to maybe pull each other back.
Mm-hmm. Very well
Who's your
said.
rookie?
Marco Rossi.
Yeah,
Who? Marco
really-
Rossi, the #1 center on your Minnesota Wild, surging Minnesota Wild after a coaching change. But I'm happy for him. He's a guy who missed a long time, had some COVID-related long COVID stuff happening, and he basically missed the whole year, had to go back home and stop playing. And they need centermen in Minnesota. And his first coach, Dean Evison, was a hard coach to get the trust of. And Marco Rossi, through being diligent and scoring a ton at the minor league level, has finally established himself as a go-to offensive player on the Minnesota Wild down the middle. Certainly Eriksson Ek's their best centerman. He's their second best centerman. He plays with Zuccarello. He plays with Kaprizov. He has that kind of responsibility. 12 even strength points. Pretty solid. Now get him on the power play and see what he can do, because he doesn't pick up any points on the power play, but I like what he's doing and I like the journey to get there. I think he's only also going to be steady, settle into a nice 60, 70 point guy consistently in the NHL.
Yeah, it's so hard to play catch up.
Yes.
The league doesn't wait on anybody. The sport doesn't wait on anybody. And those long absences that he had due to health, for him to work his way all the way back and performing at the level he is now, super, super impressive stuff.
Almost need to remember that about all the young sort of 18 to 22-year-olds that are in the NHL now.
You mean we don't need to give up on them right away?
No, but it's a couple years of COVID years,
yes.
whether they're European leagues or junior leagues or their college leagues, were all disrupted.
Yeah.
They weren't playing normal schedules. Yeah, a whole bunch of guys playing 7 games a year, so maybe give those guys a little bit more time to hit their stride in the NHL.
A little bit more leeway.
Yeah.
Hey,